It was supposed to be just another school trip, an exciting day at the museum for the fourth grade class of Lakeview Elementary. Laughter echoed on the school bus, children comparing snacks and teachers barely containing the chaos. For 9-year-old Jeremy Clark, it was the highlight of the year. He had never been to the city before. But by the time the sun began to set, Jeremy was gone. 25 years later, his mother, Martha Clark, now older, lonelier, and still haunted by unanswered questions, sat in her living room with a cup of untouched tea, staring blankly at the news. And then it happened. Her trembling hands dropped the cup, porcelain shattering on the hardwood floor. There, on the television screen, stood a man being interviewed at a political rally, his smile strangely familiar, the tilt of his head, the eyes, the dimple on his left cheek. Her breath caught in her throat. It was Jeremy. Only, he didn't seem to know who he was. Jeremy was a bright boy, quiet, artistic, and always observant. His mother packed him a small lunch that morning, writing a little note that said, "Have fun, my sweet boy. I love you to the stars." It was the last thing she ever gave him. The field trip went smoothly until it didn't. After the guided tour of the Natural History Museum, the children were allowed to explore the open gallery in small groups. It was in those few unsupervised minutes that Jeremy vanished. One moment he was standing beside his best friend Leo, pointing at a fossilized dinosaur egg. The next, he was gone. Search parties were formed, security footage reviewed, helicopters hovered, his photo was plastered across the state, but nothing came of it. He had disappeared without a trace. Martha never moved away from their house. His room stayed exactly the same, sheets unwashed, toys untouched, even his sketchbooks lay where he had left them. Each year, on his birthday, she lit a candle by his picture and cried herself to sleep. People told her to move on, but how could she? "They don't understand," she whispered to herself. "He's still out there. I feel it in my bones." And she was right. But the truth was far more twisted than any mother could ever imagine. The TV flickered to life one ordinary afternoon as Martha folded laundry. And today, billionaire tech philanthropist Daniel Reed is making headlines for his new youth initiative. The name meant nothing to her. But that face burned itself into her soul. She froze. Jeremy? He looked like Jeremy older, yes, but the resemblance was undeniable. She scrambled to grab her old photo album, flipping through pages until she found a school photo. There, the same cleft in the chin, the birthmark near the ear. No, this can't be," she whispered, her heart thudding like a war drum. She took a picture of the screen and sent it to Leo, who now lived abroad. "Leo, that's him. Oh my God, that's Jeremy." The man on the TV wasn't named Jeremy Clark. He was Daniel Reed, tech mogul, Harvard graduate, and newly announced candidate for state senator. A media darling, a national success story. Raised by foster parents in Michigan, according to his bio. Martha felt her hands shaking. How did her son go from missing child to political golden boy? "I need to see him," she muttered. She bought a bus ticket the next day. At his campaign rally, security was tight. Reporters filled the lawn, cameras flashing, but amidst the crowd stood a small, gray-haired woman holding a cardboard sign that read, "Daniel Reed is my son, Jeremy Clark." People stared, some laughed, others snapped photos. Security moved in. "Ma'am, you can't be here." "I know who he is. That's my boy. I'm his mother." Daniel stepped off the stage, confused by the commotion. His eyes met hers for the first time in 20, and nothing. No recognition, no emotion, just a polite, puzzled smile. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said gently. "You must be mistaken." Martha collapsed. Back in her motel room, Martha wept. Could she be wrong? But Leo didn't think so. He flew back to help her dig. Together, they searched through school photos, dental records, even Jeremy's baby pictures. One night, Leo found something shocking. "Look at this," he said, showing her a video from Daniel's childhood, part of a documentary from his company's website. In the background of the clip, a young Daniel was holding a plush frog, the same frog Jeremy had carried everywhere. It even had the same tear on the leg that Martha had sewn up. "It is him," she gasped. "That's Jeremy." But how? Why doesn't he remember? Later that week, Martha was approached by a mysterious woman in a bookstore cafe. "You're the lady from the rally," she whispered, looking over her shoulder. "Yes," Martha replied warily. "You're not crazy," the woman said. "I used to work for the family that adopted him." "What?" "They weren't foster parents. They bought him." Martha's jaw dropped. "What did you just say?" "There's a private network. Wealthy families who pay for children through fake adoptions. Jeremy was part of that. I overheard everything. When I tried to report it, I was fired and blacklisted. Martha felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Where is this family? The woman hesitated. I'll tell you, but be careful. These people, they don't lose. The address led to a sprawling estate outside Detroit. Leo and Martha drove there at night, hearts pounding. The gate was open. Martha clutched Jeremy's baby photo and the frog plush she'd kept all these years. Inside the house, they were greeted by a cold, elegant woman in her 60s. I assume you're here about Daniel, she said calmly. You mean Jeremy? The woman smirked. That's not his name anymore. You stole my son. I saved him, the woman hissed, from a life of mediocrity. We gave him everything. Education, wealth, a future. Martha shook with rage. You robbed him of who he was. You brainwashed him. Memory can be restructured with the right tools, the right trauma. Martha's legs buckled. What did you do to my baby? The woman's lips curled into a smile. You wouldn't believe me even if I told you. That night, back at the motel, Leo did more digging. Daniel Reed had no birth certificate until his academic records were unusually clean. His foster parents had ties to a now-defunct private security firm suspected of child trafficking. But none of this could be proven. No wonder he doesn't remember, Leo said. They probably made him forget, or worse. Martha looked out the window, tears running silently. I want my son back. The next morning, Martha appeared at another campaign event. This time, she didn't carry a sign. This time, she brought something else. The plush frog. As Daniel stepped off the stage, she moved through the crowd and held it out to him. His eyes landed on the toy. A flicker of something flashed in his expression, confusion, then pain. He reached for the frog slowly. I remember this, he said faintly. The crowd grew silent. Martha stepped closer. I'm your mother. Daniel's face went pale. He staggered back. Suddenly, a security guard leaned into his ear and whispered something. Daniel's face changed. His body stiffened. He turned cold again. I think you should leave. Martha stood frozen. Then she saw it. In the crowd, the elegant woman, watching, smiling. The air inside the room was heavier than it had ever been. Silence stretched between Olivia and the young man claiming to be her son, Jacob. The photo album lay open between them, its pages trembling slightly from the breeze seeping through the cracked window. Jacob, or Nathan as the world had come to know him, stared at the photos with a kind of desperate recognition, like a man lost in a forest finally glimpsing a familiar trail. Mom, he said again, more certain this time. It's me. Olivia couldn't breathe. Her trembling hands clutched the side of the chair for support. Don't, she whispered, blinking fast to contain the flood of tears. Don't say that unless it's true. She had spent 25 years clawing at hope and burying it again. She'd chased false leads, spoken to so many who made promises, only to leave her broken once more. But something about this boy, no, this man was different. It wasn't just his eyes, it was his soul. And mothers, they always know. 7-year-old Jacob had been on a school trip to the state park. It was a sunny afternoon. Laughter filled the air as kids ran through the trail, picking leaves and chasing squirrels. But Jacob had strayed too far. He'd been lured with a soft voice, a friendly smile, and a toy he liked, a model fire truck. Then, darkness and silence. Olivia stood, grabbed the album, and flipped to the picture she'd stared at 1,000 times. It was Jacob on his 6th birthday, wearing a red paper crown, frosting on his cheek. Tell me, she whispered, her voice cracking. What happened? Where did you go? Why didn't you find me? Jacob, Nathan, sat down slowly. His hands trembled as if every nerve was suddenly waking up. I don't remember everything, but there are flashes. A woman in white. A man with rough hands. A basement with a light that never turned off. He looked at her, pain flooding his voice. They told me you were dead. A scream tried to escape Olivia's throat, but her body refused to let it out. She remembered those days, the anonymous letters telling her to stop searching. The police dismissed them as cruel hoaxes, but she never believed it. Jacob's eyes clouded. They changed my name, moved me from town to town, told me I was adopted, and when I got older, they made me forget by hurting me when I asked questions. His voice cracked. I learned not to ask. Tears ran freely now from both of them. You became Nathan Cross, Olivia whispered. He nodded. I wasn't supposed to be on TV. I didn't even want to give that interview, but something inside me told me to speak. Something pulled me. A mother's voice, Olivia said through tears, calling you back. Olivia took Jacob to his childhood home, preserved like a mausoleum of memory. The same wooden swing on the porch. The growth chart scratched onto the kitchen wall. As he walked to the hallways, he flinched at every corner, as if memories were waiting to jump out. Why now? She asked. After all these years? Jacob hesitated, then said slowly, because they're watching again. I think they know I'm remembering. The words dropped like ice into Olivia's heart. They? She asked. Jacob nodded. I saw a car, same color, same plates. Outside the studio, outside the hotel. They know where I am. Jacob paced the room, still overwhelmed. He picked up his phone and hesitated. Should he call the police? He didn't trust anyone yet, except Olivia. Then, a sharp knock at the door. He froze. Another knock, slower, deliberate. His heart thudded. He moved toward the peephole and peeked. Nobody was there. Then his phone buzzed. One message, no name, just 5 words. You should have stayed, Nathan Cross. Olivia sat by the window looking at the stars as if whispering thanks to whatever force brought her son back. Suddenly, the porch light flickered. She turned to look. A dark figure stood at the edge of her yard, unmoving. She rushed to the door, heart pounding. But when she opened it, the figure was gone. Only a single item lay on the steps. A red paper crown identical to Jacob's 6th birthday hat. Whoever took Jacob all those years ago, they weren't finished. And now that the truth was surfacing, they were ready to silence it. But they didn't count on a mother's resolve. An officer escorted them to the back room. Another detective entered with a folder. We ran Nathan Cross's file, the detective said, and we found something disturbing. He slid a photo across the table. Olivia gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth. It was a surveillance photo. A man. The same man who had interviewed Jacob on live TV. The man who had encouraged him to speak. This man, the officer said, is not a journalist. His real name is Marcus Langston. He's wanted in 2 states for child trafficking. Jacob stood up, eyes wide. He's the one who brought me to the basement. He used to call himself Uncle Mark. The detective looked grim. Then you're not just a victim. You're a witness to a long-running operation we've been trying to bust for decades. As Olivia held her son tight, thinking it couldn't possibly get worse, another officer rushed in, pale-faced. We need you both under protection immediately. There's been a breach. Someone leaked Jacob's location. Olivia's phone buzzed at that very moment. One message. No sender. A video. She played it. It showed a live feed of inside her home. The camera panned slowly, then paused on a photo of her and Jacob from earlier that day. Then text flashed across the screen. He was never yours to begin with. Who was Jacob, really? And who had been pulling the strings for 20? The storm outside matched the one rising inside Olivia's chest. They were supposed to be safe, but now someone had shown they could enter her home without a sound, without a trace, and leave a message that shattered everything she thought she knew. He was never yours to begin with. The words echoed like a scream buried in silence. Jacob sat on the edge of the bed, staring at his hands. It shook like leaves in a storm. What does it mean? He asked. Never yours? Am I not really your son? Olivia's heart twisted painfully. You are, she said, clutching his hand. I gave birth to you. I remember your face, your smell. I sang you to sleep every night for 7 years. Jacob's eyes were glassy. Then why do I feel like I've lived 2 lives? And that was the question nobody wanted to answer. Because the truth was more tangled than anyone imagined. Detective Hale stood at the front of the room, flipping through documents. We've confirmed the man who posed as a journalist, Marcus Langston, is linked to at least 4 other child abductions in the 90s. All the children vanished during school trips. He looked at Jacob. All were renamed, re-educated. Most ended up in private institutions owned by a shell company based in Romania. Olivia gasped. Institutions? The detective nodded grimly. Elite grooming academies. The kids were raised for infiltration, politics, tech, even law enforcement. They were planted. The room went silent. Jacob whispered, "What was I meant to become?" Jacob opened the manila envelope the FBI had handed him. Inside were documents recovered from a burned site linked to Langston. One page was scorched but legible. Project Echo, behavioral reassignment, target subject. Status Phase 3, activation delayed. Handler, Marcus Langston. Directive embedded recall via live exposure. Jacob blinked. I'm JX. He felt cold, not from the room, from the inside. He was in a small room, white walls, no windows. A woman in a white coat repeated a phrase. Your mother is dead. We saved you. You owe us your life. You are Echo now, not Jacob, not anyone else. And then darkness. Later that night, Olivia sat across from Jacob, her face pale. There's something I never told anyone. Jacob looked up slowly. The day you disappeared, someone followed me home. Jacob's eyes widened. What? I didn't know who he was. I thought it was just grief making me paranoid. But a week later, I got a letter. She pulled it from her purse, yellowed with time. The ink was still legible. He belongs to us. You were just the vessel. Jacob's voice cracked. What does that mean? Tears rolled down Olivia's face. I think someone made sure I had you. On purpose. And then they took you back. Jacob stared at her, horror dawning on his face. Are you saying I was placed in your life? Olivia could barely nod. I don't know, but I was part of a fertility trial, government funded. Back then they told me it was a routine program to help struggling mothers. Her voice broke. But what if you were part of something else? A black van idled 3 blocks away. Inside, a man watched the safe house through binoculars. Target Echo is showing signs of memory fusion, he said into a receiver. Phase 4 may be compromised. Do we abort? A distorted voice replied, no, proceed to reactivation. He'll come home when he remembers who he truly is. Jacob ran through a corridor filled with flashing lights. Sirens blared. A voice called out from the dark. They're not your memories. You were implanted. He turned and saw his own face staring back at him. Then he jolted awake. Jacob couldn't sleep. His head throbbed with voices and fragments he couldn't control. He left Olivia a note and took a cab to the one place that might have answers, the abandoned research facility listed in the FBI files. Dust, silence, faded walls lined with locked doors. He moved slowly, the air thick with mildew and memory. Suddenly, a light flickered on at the end of the hall. He followed it, heart pounding. The room was lined with screens. One came to life, a live video feed. It was Olivia, at the safe house, alone, cooking, laughing nervously to herself. A voice crackled from the speaker. You left her again? Just like we trained you to do? Jacob froze. She was never your mother, Echo. We needed her to raise you. We needed you to feel real love so we could control it later. Don't you see? The screen split. On one side, Olivia, vulnerable. On the other, a map. A red blinking dot, moving toward her house. The voice continued. Now, choose. Go back and lose everything. Or come home and remember everything. Jacob stood trembling, his hand on the door. 2 lives, 1 real, 1 built. And a clock ticking. Suddenly the screen flickered again. This time, it showed a picture of another woman. Dark hair, stern eyes, caption, biological mother, subject ID Z. Jacob stepped back, breath caught in his throat. She's still alive? He whispered. The voice answered, I'm waiting for you. Welcome back, Echo. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It buries you, rewrites you, hollows you out and fills the shell with something else. That's what Jacob felt as he stood in the cold remains of the Echo facility, staring at the face of a woman he didn't recognize. But who, according to the screen, had given him life? Biological mother, subject ID, Zeta T. Jacob took a step closer to the monitor. Her face stared back, still and clinical. There was no warmth, no recognition, no memory behind her cold expression. Where is she? Jacob asked, barely above a whisper. The voice returned, the same one that had been guiding him like a ghost in the dark. She's in the cradle, Sector 5. We've kept her preserved for this moment. Jacob's hands clenched. Preserved? Meanwhile, Olivia stood by the window, Jacob's note clutched in trembling fingers. It answers, Mom. I have to see it for myself. Please don't come after me. I don't know if I'll be the same when I come back. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I already lost you once, Jacob. Please, don't let them take you again. We've lost visual on Jacob's tracker. He's inside the blackout zone. He paused, listening. No, we can't wait for backup. If he triggers Phase Omega, we won't get another chance to bring him out. I'm heading there myself. He slammed the file shut. Inside it, a photo of Marcus Langston, standing beside a teenage Jacob in military fatigues. The door to Sector 5 creaked open. Jacob stepped into a room lined with glass tubes. Each one pulsed with a dim internal light, faintly illuminating human forms suspended in clear fluid. Test subjects, failed experiments, forgotten lives. At the center was her, Zeta 2. Her eyes were closed. Her face was pale but peaceful. A breathing mask wrapped around her face. Tubes fed into her arms and spine. Jacob reached for the console beside her chamber. The screen blinked to life. Vital, stable, mental activity dormant. Initiate wake protocol. He hesitated, then pressed yes. The hum of machinery grew louder. The fluid drained. Her body lowered gently onto a medical table. Monitors beeped. Lights flickered. And slowly, her eyes opened. Gray, sharp, familiar. Jacob took a shaky breath. "Are you my mother?" She blinked, then unexpectedly smiled. "No, Echo, I'm your maker." Olivia wasn't going to sit still. She had followed the coordinates in the FBI file and tracked the Echo facility herself. As she drove through the winding forest roads, the radio sputtered. "This is Agent Hale. Olivia, if you're hearing this, turn around now. They're repping him. They want you to." She gripped the wheel tighter. "They've had enough of my family already." Jacob stumbled backward, confusion clouding his face. "Maker, what does that mean?" Zeta 2 stood surprisingly strong. "You weren't born. You were designed. Engineered from my DNA and Langston's sequencing. Olivia was your womb, not your parent. You were grown, tailored for assimilation." He staggered. "No, that's not true. I have memories. I remember birthdays. Bedtime stories." Zeta 2's expression darkened. "Manufactured memories? Echo. Programmed through neural imprinting to bind you emotionally. But don't worry. That part's almost done unraveling." Agents watched as biometric spikes lit up on the screen. Echo is destabilizing. He's questioning everything. The next 10 minutes decide whether he becomes a weapon or a ghost. His hands trembled. "Why me?" Zeta 2 walked slowly toward him, unfazed. "Because you were perfect. And because your time is now. The activation phrase is already inside you. You saw Olivia on that screen, didn't you?" Jacob froze. She smirked. "We fed it to you that night. When you heard the lullaby, the one she used to sing." Suddenly, a distorted recording played overhead. "Sleep now, my angel, the moon is high." Jacob dropped the scalpel, his eyes going wide. Memories, real or not, rushed into him like a flood. Bit of fire, screaming, a needle in his arm. The white room. A man calling him Echo. Olivia sobbing behind a one-way mirror, begging them to stop. Jacob collapsed to his knees, gasping. Something inside him was breaking. Or awakening. Zeta 2 knelt in front of him, gently placing a hand on his head. "It's okay, come home. The world doesn't need Jacob. It needs Echo." And then, a bullet tore through the glass window. Zeta 2 dropped. Jacob looked up, startled, blood on his face. In the doorway, Olivia, holding a gun, hands shaking, eyes locked on him. "Step away from my son." Jacob blinked. "Mom?" But his voice didn't sound like him anymore. It was colder, lower, controlled. And in that moment, Olivia saw it. Something had changed in his eyes. The boy she raised was fading, and something else was surfacing. Something that remembered everything. Some choices are irreversible. Some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. Olivia never thought she'd point a gun at her son. And Jacob never thought he'd look into her eyes and not know who she was. "Step away from my son," Olivia said, her voice cracking from the weight of it all. Jacob? No. Echo stood motionless. Blood from Zeta 2 stained his shirt, but his eyes, they weren't his. They were empty. "She lied to me," he said calmly. "You all did." His voice was low, mechanical almost. It wasn't just how he spoke, but the way he stood. Calculated, controlled. Olivia lowered the gun slightly. Her heart ached. "No, Jacob, listen to me. I didn't lie. I loved you. You were a gift. A miracle. They took you from me and rewrote you. But I never stopped believing you were still in there." He looked down at Zeta 2's body, unmoved. "She said you were just a surrogate, that I was engineered." "She's wrong." Olivia stepped forward. "Maybe you were part of something. Maybe they played God. But I carried you. I sang to you. You kicked inside me. That was real, Jacob. You were real before any of this began." Jacob flinched at the name. "Don't call me that." "Sleep now, my angel. The moon is high." He's rejecting the imprint. Increase the dose. Memory bleed detected. Prepare to wipe. Jacob fell to his knees. Why would they do this to me? Why? Olivia dropped beside him, hugging him tightly even as he tried to push her away. Because you're stronger than they ever imagined. Because they knew love would make you dangerous, and because you still have a choice. He clutched his head, shaking violently. They put a command phrase inside me. She said I was activated. Then we'll find a way to stop it, Olivia whispered, together. Step away from the subject, Hale shouted. Don't shoot. Olivia stood up, arms wide. He's still in control. You don't know that, Hale growled. His vitals are spiking. He's on the edge. Jacob stood up slowly. I don't want to hurt anyone. Suddenly, all the lights turned red. An alarm blared. Whirling, Phase Omega initiated. A robotic voice echoed through the facility. Autonomous Asset Echo has reached critical sync. Initiating override in 60 seconds. It's a full data wipe. An agent muttered, they're burying the project for as he can expose it. That means. Hale paused. They'll kill everyone still inside. We have to run. But Jacob stood frozen. What if she was right? He asked. What if the real me is already gone? Olivia cupped his face. Then I'll stay and help you find him again. Even if I'm not your son? You're mine, in every way that matters. Tears filled his eyes. Then I'll try. The facility was shutting down, self-destruct mode, buried under the guise of a containment breach. Sirens wailed, sprinklers triggered, and metal doors slammed shut behind them. They ran breathless through corridors. Jacob barely remembered and Olivia had never seen. Suddenly, a gate slammed in front of them. No override. Behind them, gunfire. They're trying to kill us, Olivia shouted. Jacob looked around and saw a ceiling hatch. Up there, they crawled upward, coughing. The shaft rattled from the explosions below. At the top was a metal grate, and then daylight. Jacob pushed it open into the blinding sun. They were outside. Inside, a figure held binoculars. An earpiece crackled. Subject Echo has escaped the perimeter. The figure smiled. Marcus Langston. Perfect, he whispered. Now the hunt begins. You're free, Olivia said. But Jacob shook his head. Not yet. I think I know who built me. He's out there. He turned toward the forest, eyes full of fire. And I'm gonna find him. And far away, in a lab lit only by green flickering lights, a new chamber hissed open. Inside, another body. Same face, same DNA. Another Echo, but this one opened his eyes first and smiled. Sometimes, the scariest person you'll ever meet is yourself. The night air was cold, but the silence between them was colder. Jacob couldn't sleep. How do you rest when every thought feels like it isn't yours? You should try to sleep, she whispered. Jacob sat with his knees to his chest, eyes locked on the fire. What if I dream something that isn't real? What if I wake up someone else? You're still you. He turned to her, his voice almost breaking. But what if I'm not? What if I'm just a weapon waiting to be pointed at someone else? Olivia moved closer, brushing a curl away from his face. Then we'll dismantle that weapon together. But Jacob looked past her. At the woods, someone's coming. Jacob and Olivia leap to their feet. Olivia grabs a broken tree limb like a weapon. Jacob instinctively places himself in front of her. From the brush emerges a teenage girl, dirt-streaked, barefoot, terrified. Please, she sobbed. They're still in there. Please, help them. Olivia kneels beside her. Who's still in there? The others. The ones they kept locked below. Echo, Gamma, Theta. They never made it at. Jacob's face paled. There were more of us. She nodded weakly. We were bred like files in a folder. Only the stable ones got to walk. The rest, they were thrown away. Jacob clenched his fists. How many survived? Not many, but the doctor, he's still alive. He runs the upper nest. Olivia exchanged a look with Jacob. We need to find this place. Echo has taken the bait, he said into the phone. A voice crackled through the speaker. And the other one. Langston smiled. Activated, faster than anticipated. Phase 2 is ready. They'll find each other soon. And when they do, he raised his glass. Only one will survive. Jacob, Olivia, and the girl, her name is Leah, walk through forgotten government tracks buried beneath the city. Leah knows a way into the upper nest, but warns it's heavily guarded. They used to test the limits of pain down there, she muttered, voice shaking, to see how much suffering it takes to break a soul. Jacob's hands tremble. Why would they do this? Because, she said, they weren't looking to create soldiers. She looked him in the eye. They were looking to erase humanity and start over. As they descend, the air thickens. Oxygen is thinner, and something hums in the walls, almost like breathing. We're here, Leah says. The doors open into a tunnel of red light. Olivia gasps. This isn't just a lab, it's a tomb. They walk past cages, rusted, empty, others still sealed. One cage has scratch marks, another a child's drawing, a son with no face. Then they hear it, a low, slow clap. Bravo, a voice said from the shadows. I was beginning to think you'd never make it back. Hello, Echo, he smiled. Jacob blinked. You're Dr. Marlin. Yes, your father in every way that matters. Olivia lunges, fists clenched. You stole him from me. Marlin raises a calm hand. I perfected him. What you gave birth to was potential. I gave him purpose. Jacob growls. You ruin lives. No, son, I created options. And now you must make a choice. Out steps another man. Same height, same face, same eyes. But colder, smirking. Hello, Echo, the clone said. Or should I say, I'm Echo. You're just the failed prototype. And in that dim blood-colored room, for the first time Jacob came face to face with himself, but only one would walk out. Sometimes, the enemy isn't the monster in front of you. It's the version of you that never learned to feel. Jacob could barely breathe. He was staring at his own face, but the man before him held none of his soul. What is this? Jacob whispered. The clone tilted his head. I'm the one they kept in the dark. You? You were the field experiment. I'm what happens when they remove fear, pain, conscience. He stepped closer. They called you Echo. They called me Silence. Fascinating, isn't it? Nature versus nurture in real time. Olivia's voice shook. You made them fight each other? Like animals? No, Marlin replied. I let them evolve. One became a man, the other a god. Silence smirked. And gods don't need mothers. In a blink, he vanished, then reappeared behind Olivia. Move and she died. Jacob lunged, but Silence held up a hand and Olivia gasped as a blade grazed her throat. We shared DNA, Echo, but only one of us learned control. A boy screams in a white room. Wires snake from his skull. A voice whispers, pain is temporary, purpose is forever. Jacob clutches his head. Stop! These memories! They're not mine! Marlin steps forward, smug. Wrong, they were buried, deep, to keep you docile, Olivia screams. Jacob snaps back to the present, eyes glowing faintly blue. You turned me into a weapon. Marlin smiles. No, I set you free. Now finish him. Prove which of you deserves to exist. She's not part of this, Jacob growls. Silence laughed. Everyone you love that's your flaw. Me? I love nothing. He charges. Their fists collide like thunderclaps. Metal bends. Walls shake. A pipe bursts. Steam fills the room. You're weak. Silence snarls. Jacob blocks a blow. No. I feel that's why I'll win. If I can trigger the failsafe, we can seal the chamber, Olivia says. Seal it? Leah gasps. With them inside, Olivia pauses. If we don't, he'll never stop. Time to erase the glitch. He lunges, but at the last second, Jacob dodges, grabbing Silence's arm and driving them both into the electrical cord behind them. Sparks explode. Both scream. Then, silence. The doors slam shut. Everything is still. She looks around, confused. A nurse walks in. Ma'am, someone brought you in. Said you needed help.
Who? Where is he?
The nurse points to the tent flap. He left this. She hands her a necklace, the one Jacob wore as a child. Olivia's hands tremble. Jacob. Dr. Marlin's voice plays over a speaker. And so, the rebirth begins. The figure stops in front of a mirror, looks at their reflection. We don't see who it is. They whisper, I remember everything now. They raise a hand and smash the mirror. Sometimes, the truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes, it swallows you whole. She stared at the skyline, lost in thoughts that didn't belong to the present. He left me again, but something didn't feel right. She turned as Leah approached, carrying a worn folder. You need to see this, Leah whispered. Inside, old Polaroids, confidential files. One photo stood out. 2 identical boys in hospital gowns. One labeled Project Echo. The other, Subject 9, Silence. Olivia's breath caught in her throat. They weren't just twins, they were experiments. They share 99.9% of DNA, she said. But one reacts to affection, the other to punishment. Which do you want to keep? She asked Marlon. We can't fund both. Marlon looked through the glass at the sleeping boys. Keep the obedient one. Terminate the weak. They tried to kill my son before he could speak. Leah nodded solemnly. And they kept the killer. But then a man ran into the room. It's on the news channel 8. Turn it on. Security footage rolls. A man in black, with half his face burned, one glowing eye, and Jacob's exact voice. What the hell? Leah gasped. The man turned to the camera and spoke. They made me, but now I choose who I am. Olivia's face went pale. That's not Jacob. Leah looked at her. Then, who is it? It was Jacob. Or was it? He looked down at a small photo in his hand. 2 boys, one marked J, the other. He whispered, I thought I was Jacob, but I was never him. Behind him, a figure stepped out of the shadows, bloody, limping, but alive. It was the real Jacob. You took my name, my life. Now you want my redemption. Silence turned. No, I want your memories, because without them, I'm just a ghost. A small note had been scribbled inside. If you're reading this, they lied about everything, even my name. Suddenly, boom, the train jerks violently. Scream. Gunfire outside. Leah peers through the window. We're under attack. Masked men board the train. They're not after us, Olivia gasped. They're after the diary. Give us the Genesis file, or we'll finish what Marlon started. She clutches the book to her chest, defiant. Then he removes his mask. It's Dr. Marlon, alive. They thought the past was buried. They thought secrets died with silence. But the past has claws. And tonight, it's coming back to tear everything apart. Hello, Olivia, Dr. Marlon said calmly, brushing ash from his shoulder. It's been a long time since the fire. She steps back, trembling. You died, she spat, in that explosion. I saw your remains. You saw what I wanted you to see, he interrupted, stepping closer. Just like you believed your son was just another boy. Leah pulls Olivia behind her. We're not giving you anything. Back off. Marlon smirks. Oh, you misunderstand. I'm not here to take the file. I'm here to destroy it. Subject 9 is more responsive to memory suppression than expected. With the right trauma, we can rewrite personality. This is beyond cloning. This is weaponized identity. Click. Behind the glass, a 7-year-old boy screams, restrained as a nurse injects him. Don't take my name, he cries. My name is Jacob. Marlon watches coldly. No, your name is Silence. Run. Gunfire erupts. Leah sprints through the cabin, bullets flying. Olivia tackles Marlon. He was your experiment, she sobs. You ripped him from me. Used him like a lab rat. Marlon snarls. He was never yours, Olivia. He was mine, created by science, perfected by suffering. Suddenly, a grenade rolls down the aisle. Everyone ducked. Boom. Entry Den 14. Today, Dr. M said my pain makes me stronger, but I missed the mom in the red scarf. She used to hum to me. I think she's my mom. Leah gasps. He remembered her even when they wiped everything. Just then, bang, door flies open. Jacob storms in, bloodied, eyes wild. Where is he? Silence? Leah asked. No, Jacob pants. Me, the one they created. He's not done. They think I'm dead, he whispers. You must erase what's left of me, Silence. Silence places his hand on Marlon's head. I will. And Olivia. She'll forget too. What is it? Leah asks. It's a list of all the children they cloned, he whispers. He flips through. Leah leans over his shoulder. What does it say, subject 11? They both freeze. Leah steps back, stunned. No, I was born in New York. I have a brother. No, Jacob says softly. You were the brother. Her knees buckle. She collapses. I don't know who I am, she whispers. He whispers. Now the game truly begins. Behind him, Olivia opens her eyes. She's tied to a chair. You're not Jacob, she says hoarsely. He kneels in front of her. No, I'm the one you forgot because they made you forget. He places the necklace she gave Jacob at age 6 in her hand. You didn't lose one son, Olivia. You lost both. A woman in a lab coat answers a call. Yes, Silence has revealed himself. No, the experiment is not over. In fact, it's just beginning. Behind her is a stasis pod. Inside, a boy, no older than 10. Identical to Jacob, identical to Silence. His eyes suddenly open. What happens when a lie becomes the foundation of a life? When an identity is built on betrayal, and when truth, long buried, claws its way back to the surface, do we cling to the illusion or face the pain and finally let go? This is where it all began, Jacob murmurs. And where it ends? Leah adds, her voice shaking. Olivia walks in silence, her eyes swollen from crying, her fingers gripping the necklace Jacob returned to her. They enter a chamber lined with abandoned medical equipment. In the center, the stasis pod, the boy from the monitors now lies empty. Give me my son! You promised the project was just a genetic scan. Your son no longer belongs to you, Marlon replies coldly. He belongs to science now. She pounds on the glass, screaming, he's my child, Jacob, Jacob, baby. But the child is silent, expression blank, his memory already stripped. Marlon turns, whispering to an assistant, prepare subject 10. Begin phase 2. She whispers, you were never a project. You were my baby. No experiment can change that. Jacob places his hand on her shoulder. I remember now, he says softly, the red scarf, the way you sang to me at night, the apple pie in the fall. Olivia gasps, you remember? Not everything, but enough. Enough to know who I am. Not silence, not subject 9, just Jacob, your son. They embrace. Leah watches, her face unreadable. What now? She asks. We burn it? No, Jacob says. We tell the world. She nods. So, do you think I'm your clone? She asks quietly. I think you're you, Jacob replies. You fought for the truth. You saved me. That's who you are. Tears stream down Leah's face. Thank you. Olivia, Jacob, and Leah stand before a sea of reporters. Government officials sit grim-faced in the background. Olivia speaks first. 25 years ago, my son was stolen from me in the name of science. He became a guest. But ghosts don't disappear. They haunt the world until we face them. Jacob steps forward. I was turned into something I'm not. They erased my name, my memories, but they couldn't erase my soul. I stand here not as an experiment, but as a survivor. Leah concludes. Project Genesis was a crime against humanity. We share this story for every child, every mother, every family torn apart by secrets. The truth must always be stronger than fear. The room erupts in applause, some clapping, others weeping. You sure this is how you want to live? Leah teases. No more spy missions? No more thrill? Jacob grins. Peace is the biggest thrill of all. They laugh. Outside, a group of children plays. One boy looks strikingly familiar. Dark curls, curious eyes. He runs up. Mom! Uncle Jacob! Look what I found! He holds up a faded red scarf from the attic. Olivia takes it slowly, eyes misty. That scarf, it's been through everything. Jacob touches it gently. And it came back home. Not all stories end in tragedy. Some end in truth, some in healing, and some in the quiet strength of those who refuse to forget. Because even when science tries to rewrite who we are, the heart remembers. And a soul once broken can be made whole again. Dilating, what did you learn from this story? Was it the strength of a mother's love? The resilience of identity? Or the power of facing the truth no matter how painful? Tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts.